everybody. Welcome to Coast to Coast. What's happening, gentlemen? I was looking down laughing because my wife poured me my coffee in a Grumpy Bear mug. So let's go.
Hey, listen, happy Chinese New Year. Today is the Chinese New Year.
Today is Fat Tuesday also, isn't it?
It may.
You know what's interesting that we talk about Chinese New Year. The last time when I was in the hospital and I had my stomach issue, right?
Okay.
Then the lady comes in and she's, we're talking about, me and the wife were talking about Chinese New Year and all the different animals for each year and things like that. And the lady goes, "Oh, you know about China?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Well, what year were you born, ma'am?" And she's like, she said a year. I'm like, "Oh, that's the year of the monkey." Yeah, that didn't go over too well because she was African American, and I'm pretty sure she spit my IV, but that's okay.
I mean,
I'm the year of the rat, so I'm a rat.
Yeah, I'm the year of the rat too, 1972.
Exactly.
You're the rat, baby.
Don't even know, because I don't pay attention to any of that.
Well, maybe you should.
Well,
Yeah.
So that's why I'm wearing white today, because you're supposed to wear white if you're part of the year of the rat. It's supposed to bring good luck. So it's listen, I'm not Chinese, so it doesn't matter. But any little bit of luck I can get is worth it.
I mean, that's fair.
Well, I'm about to go find me a white shirt then. Damn, I didn't realize.
See, but it's amazing how many people know what the hell's going on. And it's like, hey, there's snake, you got the dog, you got the horse. So. But
I still kind of wonder how that all came about. Like, how do they in that culture start saying, okay, we're going to name this dog or this animal, whatever, for this year? Like, I wonder how that all came about. I guess you'd have to do some research on that, but it's interesting.
I'm the cock. That makes sense.
Oh, man. You are what your year says you are. What year were you, Dustin?
1989, so I have no idea.
I'll find out. If I see a Home Depot person, we're gonna know.
All right. So
yeah, exactly.
Anyways,
astrology thing. Yeah.
I this whole thing with this curling thing is still.
I guess I'm a snake.
Still out there.
Yeah,
they're very unhappy about the curling.
Say that again.
Canada is really screwing things up with the whole curling thing.
Mm-hmm.
It's been getting more and more. First it was the men's, then it was the women's, then it's and how Sweden. Well, yeah, U.S. won over Sweden, so Canada's out now. Like I think Canada's done. But the U.S. did beat Sweden, and. Yeah, so the U.S. won in 2018, and then Sweden won last year or 4 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
But they are still angry
about
this whole Canadian thing.
Man.
Both the men and the women.
Well, I mean, it's obvious why, right? Because it's Canada, and you expected them to be like, sorry, and instead they're like, F off.
I mean, speaking of the U.S. and winning over Sweden, too, you had the American women hockey team shut out Sweden to get to the gold medal game. They have yet to allow a goal in the Olympics and have now set an Olympic record for the longest shutout.
No, they let up one goal.
No, the women have shut them out.
One goal. They let up one goal in the first game. It was 5-1.
I don't think.
And now they have gone 5 games, which is the Olympic record for most shutout games.
They
just so that we can report that properly.
Yeah. I mean, that team is just making everyone look silly. It's not even funny.
Well, and they go up against Canada again, which is going to be really interesting. It'll be interesting to see if they can shut them out again.
It's just amazing, though. Canada is not usually a country that's involved in controversies. It's weird that they had this controversy going on right now in the Olympics.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's what the joke was initially. Was like, did the U.S. buy Canada already? You know what I mean? Like it was like that, like that. The U.S. would be cheating, not Canada. And it's funny that both the men and the women had the same problem. Now the men, they were just telling them to, they were yelling at each other some obscenities, and they were yelling obscenities like they were showing it on TV live. Like, ooh, yeah, we're gonna have to, when that broadcast, we're gonna definitely not have to, X that out. But
Right.
When doesn't like yelling at the Broomers?
and then how about that one guy? I don't know what he was, but his broom broke. He's like going down there and he's doing his thing. He's got it right in front of it, and then he fell on the stone.
Oh,
His broom broke, fell on the stone. It hurt. It hurt.
I mean, you're falling on a piece of granite. Of course it hurt.
Yeah. When you got all your weight on a broom,
Yeah.
and the broomstick broke, it was like, damn.
I can see that right now. So when this is all over, they're going to go back to the Olympic headquarters in Canada, and they're going to say, okay, what was the lesson learned here? Number one, have better brooms. And number two, if you're going to fall, don't fall on the rock. Fall to the left, fall to the right, but don't fall on it.
You do realize they're on ice. There's a little bit of
Hey, Bo, no excuses, Bo. No excuse. This is Olympics. No excuses. You better figure out a way. Make it happen.
You're going to control your fall, which is already something you were trying not to do.
Listen, Jay, until you go to your curling thing over in Houston, you don't get to talk about curling. You go play curling first, and then you tell me what it's like to broom.
In fact, I'm going to come and push you down on the ice, and then you can tell me how you should have broken your fall.
You know what, Bo? And when I fall correctly, you're going to eat those words. You know what, Pat? When's the last time your ass got out there and curled?
I have curled before. So I have done it. Yeah, like 8 years ago.
I want pictures. And I don't want pictures where you fell down flat at the curl. I want to see you brooming like a champ.
Do that again?
that's why Jay watches porn right there.
Yeah, you look like a master broomer.
With the proper PPE, anybody could be a master broomer.
Uh-huh.
But you have to stretch. That's the part you have.
No, don't worry. Don't worry. We're saving that clip. It'll be in slow motion later. Man. And Rob, Brad, you guys save your questions for other sports until we're on to those, because it'll just get buried in the chat. I do try and keep some continuity to the show, so I'm not going to bounce all over the place. Dustin, shut up about baseball till we get there.
I didn't even open my mouth yet, damn it.
But it was coming. I felt it. So, but yeah, keep your questions, because otherwise it'll get buried and I'll miss it. So hang on to those things. So there is some other news from the Olympics as well. There's been some sabotage to the high-speed trains. And so there's been some deliberate burning of the cables at 3 different trains there in Italy. And their public release was exercise caution, be aware of your surroundings, and leave extra time. And then there was a side note, which was funny that this was a side note, that if the train does stop, get away from it. So, in my mind, I'm like, oh, cool. This is the 1800s. We got train robbers. Let's go.
Yeah. Well, and there's also more controversy. Normally at the Olympics, they have 100,000 condoms, because the one thing that happens at these situations is that when you go 4 years of training, the one thing that you do not do a lot of is have relations with the opposite or the same sex. It doesn't matter. You don't have many relations.
Yeah.
And they ran out of condoms. They only had 10,000 condoms, and they ran out of condoms. So there's going to be a lot of Olympic babies.
I kind of find it funny how an hour after they made that post that they ran out of condoms, that the Dolphins released Tyreek Hill. Where do you think he's going to go now? Nobody in Italy's going to be safe. Tyreek Hill.
Man,
This show took a weird turn.
Well, it's a real thing. It is a real thing. it is a real thing at the Olympics. It's like these athletes are very like sequestered,
Yeah.
Mhm.
and that's like they said, they do not get to release at all during their training. So this is like what happens
But
when they start to train, like they
that's
get
like the
done.
loser. That's like that American loser who's considered the most popular bachelorette. Like she literally has been hanging out with guys that have been sliding into her DMs at the Olympics.
Sure.
Like she'll
So we
leave
got guys running the DMs. We got condoms and stuff all over the place for relations, and then we got ball sack injections to help you. That's crazy. This has been one hell of a Winter Olympics.
I mean, that is the Olympics in general, though.
Mhm.
Exactly.
Wow.
Yeah. No, there's a lot of that going
That
on.
is
Olympic Village.
Olympic Village is crazy. It is crazy over there.
Hmm.
So and they
I wonder
are,
how many foreigners do with other foreigners. That's gonna be crazy.
well, that's part of it. They are, they said they're so wrapped up in their training
Mhm.
all the time that they don't get to be able to do any of this. So
Well, there's a fair amount of downtime for the athletes while they're there, because they can't really
Right.
just be cruising around. There's
No.
multiple events that happen all at the same time, and so when
Yeah.
they're not doing stuff, they're just kind of around the village.
I'll tell you.
yeah,
how
Joe,
does that
no
work?
Diddy stuff. We're not doing any Diddy stuff here.
No. I can just see it though. Like, hey, I'm gonna go over that Czech tent, see what's going on over there. I'm gonna go over to the Yugoslavian tent, see what's going. I mean, that's crazy because like you said, you can't go anywhere. So what do you do?
You're old when you say the words Yugoslavia.
Yeah, that. Yeah, that's probably not a thing
Yugoslavia
anymore.
hasn't been a country since like 1987.
Right.
Mhm.
Not only
That's probably
that,
why the Yugo went away. Remember the Yugo, that little car, the Yugo?
not only that,
Yeah.
they're not staying in tents, Jay.
Staying like houses and cabins.
I'm gonna go to the Yugoslavian cabin. I'm gonna meet Helga.
And they make a whole Olympic village. I mean, it's like they actually build
Exactly.
domiciles for them all. So they're living in like what is
They're dorms
they're like got small apartments. They're
Yeah.
mini apartments.
with a room.
That is a whole area. Whole areas. Like they actually most of the time they don't even have roommates.
Yeah.
So that's the reason why they're able to do this. Like sometimes they do, but most times they do not.
A lot of the hockey team, I
Yeah,
guess.
the hockey team and the bobsled teams typically like stay together, but if you're like an individual athlete like ski
Exactly.
or snowboard or things like that, you kind of have your own.
Yeah, but the team sports they tend to have a roommate.
Because they want you to like train together, they want you to like watch film and stuff together, so they always try to keep like the team.
Teams that drink together win together. That's
right.
a real thing. So, but yeah, I mean, it's interesting to kind of see that. I remember when I was in Hungary, and we stayed across the street from the old Olympic Village, and now Hungary hadn't had the Olympics since like 1908.
Mhm.
It might have been even or 1928 even. It could have been something like that. It was one of those situations, but the Olympic Village was still there. And
Well,
nobody lived there anymore because they had to redo it all. Like it was.
And Jeremy's point is exactly right. Is a
It
lot
happens
of
more during the Summer Olympics, though.
well, a lot of these things they get built and then they just sit there and rot. And I mean the cool
But you know
thing
what?
is
Why
is
not
you
put
go-
why not just take the homeless people in your country and just put them into that Olympic village? 'Cause now you got a village that could probably, or at least maybe some single mothers that need help or financial. Didn't they just
There's nothing-
repurpose that?
No, because it where they're building it, it's so big. It's all they're
Mhm.
always a little bit more remote, and then there's nothing there afterwards.
So
So
that does happen a lot more during the Summer Olympics though than the Winter Olympics, because if you have a mountain and you're skiing and snowboarding down it, the mountain's not going to go anywhere. People are still going to ski and snowboard down those mountains like when the Olympics aren't going on, versus the Summer Olympics, you're building the track fields, you're building all this other stuff where you're literally using it for 3 weeks and then they never get used again, versus like you have these hockey arenas and skating arenas, like they're still going to get used throughout like the time when the Olympics are over, just not as frequently.
well, and a lot of times even the the slopes and stuff aren't generally right next to the Olympic Village. Like you're usually traveling to those regardless. So even though it's in the same country or whatever, sometimes it's not in the same country. But I mean, those aren't generally right next to each other. But yeah, I mean, there's tons of like, bobsled courses and stuff where the remnants of them are just hanging out, like covered in bushes and stuff.
Right. So my thing is though, even take the Olympic Village, right? Somebody has to build that. So that means they have to. So isn't that good for their economy because people are getting work, people are getting money?
No, see, and the French, because the Summer Olympics are in France coming up, and they were spending. I remember reading something. They were spending $1 billion to clean the Rhone River, I think it was, and then they were going to have like the governor or the whoever is like the president of Paris, and was going to float down the river, and they found out that the $1 billion to clean the river, like the Olympics only make a certain amount of money. Like the host country is actually a loser to host the Olympics, and so because France is so big on stuff like that, they were all going to poop in the river, and it was all good. And like they were showing times on when you could go to poop in the river so that it would flow down and be at the same place the president was when he jumped in. Like it was weird that they had it all down to a time. This is how weird the French are in the first place, but it's a loser to be an Olympic.
Usually where they start to recoup some of that is people over the next year will go and do like touristy pictures and stuff like that. So they'll end up they don't make money, but they at least get closer to breaking even on the back end for the first couple of years after the fact. And then nobody cares anymore.
So what is the benefit then to the country? How does it benefit the country then? If it's such a loser proposition, which I agree with you, I'm not disproving that. But what benefit is that?
It increases
tourism and money for about a month. That's
no. Tourism lasts longer than that because people, like when the Winter Olympics was in Whistler, people will still go to the Olympic Village today and take pictures and stuff like that. There's no reason to go there. It's not like the Olympics have been there for a really long time, but there is a touristy element to it, and so people will do it.
So could they then recover over a period of time? Maybe they don't necessarily a winner at that moment. But based on what you're saying, over time, at some point they would.
That's why I said you start to break even on the back end, but it increases tourism and stuff like that. So I mean, it's not like it's you're just burning your wallet, but it's not a money maker either. It's why they stopped doing the World's Fair too. It was the same thing. Like you didn't make money on it. You got to host it. You got to say you got to host it. People would come tourism wise, but you don't see the big World's Fairs anymore.
Yeah. It becomes a thing of national pride.
Yeah.
But it's more financial. You're going to see moving forward where like in the US, it's not as big a deal because there's so much funding that goes to the advertising. So when a city gets that, like a city gets a piece of that advertising. So like NBC is always really big on the Olympics. That's like Comcast owns NBC. So they are always really big on, hosting everything that has to do with Olympics. It's like, hey, we're going to do full sport stuff. But beyond that, it becomes a money thing. Like it's like that's why they also spread it out. It's the same thing with the World Cup. When you have the World Cup in your country, it's expensive. You have to build stadiums, and sometimes you use those stadiums for that 3 or 4 games, and then those stadiums go and defunct. Nobody's using them.
So in the States, though, don't they use whatever hockey stadium that is professional? I mean,
no, because the hockey rink, I would love the NHL to use Olympic hockey Like it would be so much better in general. Olympic hockey rinks are larger than NHL hockey rinks.
Yep.
So you have to do it. It's a whole different setup. If they were to change, like if they were to take the Wells Fargo Center or now Xfinity Mobile Arena and make that an Olympic hockey rink, the first 5 rows all the way around the stadium would have to be taken out, and they'd have to like increase the boards and stuff like that. It's a much better, bigger playing surface.
And like even like Kneecap is saying, why not just use NFL stadiums and play your World Cup there? I mean, I'm pretty sure they did in Chicago. They used Soldier Field.
Doing that.
That's what they're doing.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it really shouldn't.
So
be,
here,
I mean, maybe in
the United States, we have the infrastructure. That's why it's in all different places. In other in other countries, when they had it in Dubai and stuff like that, I mean, they had to build stadiums.
Yeah.
Well, those stadiums
got all that money. They don't
afterwards.
care. Yeah, I get all that money. They don't care.
And Anthony, just to address this, some of the Summer Olympics are also easier because you get to host all of that in the same city. Mm-hmm. It's more condensed. When you're talking about the Winter Olympics, especially, when it ends up being somewhere that doesn't have slopes, then it gets spread out a little bit more, because where we have snow is kind of unique locations across the country, right? So it's regardless of the city that actually hosts it, some of the winter stuff has to happen in certain spots.
Right. Like they're not going to have any skiing at the Poconos, where I would go skiing. Yeah, they may have it in Vermont and Killington, which has got some, bigger slopes, but they're going to have it out in the Rocky Mountains, probably in Utah, which is where all that stuff was done.
Exactly.
You know what I mean? It's like, because, you think about the luge and the skeleton and the bobsled and stuff like that. That whole thing gets taken down afterwards.
Right.
Like that's, you notice it when you see it, it's all like plywood.
Yeah.
When you look at how it's built, it's all plywood. So, I mean,
my thing is, so when it goes back to the money part, don't these Olympic countries that are building these villages and things like that, don't they get a certain portion of the media money, like NBC, the TV money?
Well,
NBC covers it.
The Olympic Committee doesn't give the middle finger to the host country. I mean, there's still money that comes in. It's just not a money maker. It's like Pags was saying, it's a point of pride. You get to say you hosted it. There's some tourism on the back end of it. Like there's elements that bring that money back, but it's not like you're like, oh, hey, let me make a bunch of money on this thing.
Yeah.
You get millions spending billions. Yeah, I mean and some of it, if it's like here in the U.S. where it's being built around major cities, so it becomes a tourist type of thing. But a lot of these countries don't have that, so they're off a little bit, and they get mothballed, and they don't have the tourism that necessarily supports all of those locations. So that's where you see all of these different Olympic structures that are just like buried in overgrown trees and bushes and stuff around the world. You don't get that here in the US, but around the world, it happens a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And when you think about it, I mean, there's only so many places that you can even have the Winter Olympics.
Yeah.
Like as big as like Norway and Denmark, like the Scandinavian fingers are, like you can't really have them up there unless all 3 countries got together to be able to do that. Because even though that they may have all that stuff, it's still like they don't have enough in each individual country to be able to make that all occur. Enough mountain space and enough arenas and such. And they know this, they understand it's, and then Russia is not even allowed to do it anymore because they cheat.
Yeah.
Well, I think there was a whole war thing that kind of eliminated their availability anyway. But
well, when they weren't at war, they were cheating.
So. Okay, Dustin, switching it up from the Olympics, give us your baseball breaking news. What do we got?
So everyone knows the impending CBA agreement expires this offseason, which there's going to be a lot of drama attached to it. But the first major domino is about to fall as Tony Clark is resigning as the executive director of the Major League Baseball Players Association. Tony Clark has been the main guy that's been kind of pushing back on salary caps. He's been the main guy that's been telling the players to fight getting a salary cap and to try to get as much money as possible. And the reason for his resignation comes in the wake of the Eastern District of New York's investigation into alleged financial improprieties within the union.
Okay.
He's embezzling money from the union.
Yep.
Let's go.
So that might be the final straw to fall that's going to get a salary cap to basically come through, because he's been the one that's pushing against the salary cap. He's been the one that's telling the players to not take the cap and get as much money as possible, but now they're investigating him for embezzling money out of the union. So guess what? If you go, whoever's taking over your spot's going to be like, we're not doing nothing. You get the CBA figured out, and then I'll figure out what to do.
If you're not embezzling, that's the American way, baby. Get them funds. That's capitalism at its finest.
I fully expect that one of the people that they may put in there in that place is going to be like Bryce Harper.
Wow. Okay.
I would not be surprised at that. Because of the contention. It's like if you're going to fight, you want the guy who's you really kind of started it all like that. I said, even though it was like, I didn't agree with how he did it, but yeah, I feel like it's only a matter of time. You're going to see him be the player's representative.
Mm-hmm.
And of course, you can see more of his writings right here in the chat. Boom. There you go. How about that? Turns out Dustin writes, and 2 years later, he decided to let us know where he writes.
Thank God I asked.
Nice. But yeah, that's interesting. So you think it's going to be better for baseball then, Dustin, now that he's resigned, that maybe it's going to make it easier for them to get the cap and maybe not do a strike on the season?
I mean, there's probably still going to be a strike that takes place, but it's going to be worse for the players now that he's resigning, because he was expected to remain. His contract wasn't done when the CBA was expiring. Like, he actually had, I think, another 2 or 3 years left on his current contract. So he would have been the one that was going to lead all the negotiations during the CBA process. He would have been the one that was going to be like, we're not getting a cap. We're just going to keep things the way it is and try to negotiate the best way possible. With him not being there, you have to wonder if the MLB Players Association is going to try to hire somebody now before everything starts, or if they're just going to kind of see what happens.
Well, let me also ask this question, because I'm a little confused. I thought that the actual CBA expires in 2028.
Nope, expires this season.
At the end of this coming year.
Manfred's contract ends at 28, but the actual CBA was a 5. So after the COVID shortened 2020 season is when the CBA was supposed to expire. But neither side could come to agreements on what they wanted. Like, obviously, like, salary cap was being discussed then. Some other things are being discussed then. Nobody could come to an agreement on what they wanted back then. So instead of going into a lockout, knowing they couldn't afford to do it after that COVID year, they basically just gave it a 5-year extension on the current CBA that we have. So this is that 5th year of that 5-year extension that they gave out, and now that's set to expire, and there's not going to be another extension coming on this one. Like, that was kind of an extension saying we can't afford to go into a lockout after having this COVID year. Like, we'll just keep things the way it is for 5 years and not talk about it for the next 5 years, and then a week before we know what's going to happen, then we'll just have World War V happen.
Wow.
There you go.
And like you said earlier, if they do strike, how is that going to affect MLB over the long haul? Because I know last time they had a strike, it really hurt their viewership and things like that. So I wonder how that's going to hurt them.
I mean, it's going to hurt them a lot, especially in a sport that's already losing viewership anyway.
Yeah.
So I mean, their ratings continue to slide. You add especially a prolonged strike, and yeah, I mean, you're going to watch their ratings absolutely fall apart, and they're not going to have steroids to bail them out this time.
No,
Exactly.
I mean,
That was the other thing. It's like you're not going to be able to cheat the way you did last time.
They'll have to do those juiced balls again, maybe some cork bats.
metal bad.
You know, it's
I mean,
you know what? We're not going to check your hands no more. You just put whatever you got to put on the ball, and we're good.
exactly.
They don't necessarily get paid more though. Like when you look at the international draft, all these guys are between 14 and 16 years old. So they're not going to be anywhere near the majors when you sign them.
Yep.
And you're typically signing these guys for 7 to 9 years minimum. And most of these international players are getting on the high end. You're looking at $4.5 million on the high end to as low as $50,000 on the low end. Well, for what? $4.5 million for a 9-year contract, basically $500,000 a year, which it's still good money. But you draft a guy at college, first round pick is getting a $6.8 million deal for 7 years. He's
but in their economy though, that could be a big $4 million on, on a Venezuelan. That was just an example. On a Venezuelan economy, could be huge.
Well, but no, because you're not playing baseball remote. You still have to live here while you're playing. Yeah. So
no, I understand. No, but what I'm saying is for the family back here, you would probably rent someplace here, and you would still give a lot of money back there. You know what I'm saying?
Sure. But I mean, you still got to afford to do stuff here. So,
yeah. I mean, yes, it's good money for a 14-year-old, obviously, but
yeah. Well,
I mean, if you're making $500,000 a year as a 14-year-old. He's not taking home $500,000. There's other like expenses he's gonna have. He's probably realistically taking home $280,000, which is still good money, but it's not the kind of money you think he's getting that kind of a sign. Because most of that international money you get in an international draft is a signing bonus, anyways. It's not like a straight payout like it would be on a contract. You get like a large sum up front, and then the rest of it is paid over your next 7 years. So there's a chance that some of these guys are only making $70,000 a year for the next 7 years after the signing bonus goes through.
I mean, I'm looking forward to a salary cap in baseball. Mm-hmm. I want to see some of these bad teams actually do something, and not the ones that are just organizationally terrible. Like the A's, regardless of what they do, are going to suck. But some of these other teams that just historically aren't great, but not because they're not trying. They just can't seem to figure stuff out. I think it'll help raise that ship a little bit. But some of the teams that are just deliberately awful, I don't think the salary cap's not going to matter.
And there are
that's the problem I have. Like you're still going to have the Pirates, you're still going to have the Athletics, you're still going to have teams like that choose to not do what they're supposed to do. That they are only in it for the money, that's it.
I mean, the floor, the added floor to it will help some of that.
Yeah.
Except what they're going to do to get around it is they're going to pay one person and then have the rest of the team be awful.
The proposed goal that Rob Manfred wants to put forth is a $275 million cap and a $150 million floor, which means every team would have to get to that $150 million floor. Which that's going to force the Pirates, the A's, and some of these teams to sign one or two big name players for at least $25-30 million a year. Because at $30 million a year, 2 players, that covers almost half of your floor. So it's going to force.
If the A's move to Vegas, though, wouldn't you imagine they're going to spend more money on their payroll?
They're not going to be there for like another 3 years, though. So they still have to spend something while they're in Sacramento. So like Pirates spent the most money they've spent since 2012 this year, 2013 this year. Like the Pirates actually have a payroll over $120 million this year. They actually spent some money this year to improve that team. So if you put in this $160 million floor, Pirates are an example. They actually started to spend a little bit this year. Like now they're at 120, which is still not the 160, but they at least spend money on talent this year. You're going to force these teams to be like, oh, I have to go and make an offer to Kyle Tucker because I need at least one of these guys on my team to get to my floor.
No, that's what I was saying. Is they're going to pay one person, then otherwise be terrible because organizations are the way they are. And Anthony, I don't think that those are quite the same as the Pirates and the A's. I think the difference there is they just don't have fan bases that show up to their games.
Mhm.
Right.
But the ownership has proven that they want to win at times. So where I can't say that's been true for the A's since I was a kid.
I mean,
Right?
it's been a hot minute, but don't the Rays have a championship, didn't they? With the
No,
lowest
they've been-
payroll, I think, in baseball.
No, they've been to 2 World Series. They haven't won either one of them though. They lost to the Dodgers in 2020.
What about the Marlins? Have the Marlins gotten one? I feel like
Marlins
the
got
Marlins
two.
have gotten one.
Marlins got one in 97.
Yeah, I feel like they've gotten.
Yeah, Wayne Huizenga bought one, and then the Gary Sheffield one,
Yep.
Yeah, but
and
when
that
you're
was Darren
looking-
Dalton. Darren
But I don't
Dalton. runs that
understand
one.
why they
when
don't.
you're looking at the Pirates and the A's, they're not even trying.
You know, the Pirates actually were a
Yeah,
good
Tampa.
franchise at
They
one
just aren't.
point.
They're not big baseball cities.
Because I mean, you're going to Miami though. Like Miami in the summer, there's
Yeah,
a lot
way
more to
back
do in
then.
Miami than go to baseball games in the summer of Miami.
Yeah, see, and Anthony, that's part of
Right.
it.
I
Is
just feel like they don't.
Plus, when you guys are bad,
Yeah.
it's like California. There's just a lot of other stuff to go do.
Right, and every time they
Yeah,
think
that's
like,
true.
oh, Miami, well, they want Miami to have a baseball team down there because it needs to have it wants to have all four major sports, because that is the telltale of a American city.
Yep.
That you have to have every sport. Truth of the matter is that baseball could leave and they could play soccer in that stadium and they would still fill that stadium up,
Yeah, because
especially because of
Messi.
Messi and stuff like
Yeah.
that. So it's like not like it's unrealistic. They could move the Marlins back up to Montreal, and that franchise would start to make more money.
Mhm.
Tampa, on the other hand, like Tampa Bay people are different than Miami people. Tampa Bay people are sports oriented.
Mhm.
A lot of them come from they go to Tampa from working class cities. So
Yep.
you see a lot of Cleveland, Detroit, Philadelphia, New York down in Tampa.
Yep.
So once they're there, the kids actually themselves, being sports oriented, actually feel for the team. Now,
Mhm.
the problem is that nobody wants to go sit in the hot sun watching baseball games.
Mhm.
That's the problem.
Especially if it's
And-
bad baseball.
Yeah. So Tampa's actually had like a very good farm system.
Yeah,
And that's how they have done.
They've know how to develop.
Yeah.
And Tampa Bay is one of those teams that cashes in too, like with Blake Snell, Evan Longoria, Carl Crawford, and a lot of the good players they have. Like Junior Caminero is going to be the next one, kind of on that time frame. But they get a player, they develop him for like 4 or 5 years in the minors. They get him up basically until he gets a peak value, and then they trade him off before they have to pay him that big contract, basically to start everything over and retool the farm system and do the same thing. They've done it with pretty much every big name player they have, whether it be Glasnow, Snell, Longoria. Like you get him for 4 or 5 years, you get him at peak value, you trade him off, and then they sign the big contract somewhere else. It might set them back 1 or 2 years because they're rebuilding, but then within 2 years they're back in the playoffs again anyways, because all the players that they've been developing through the system come up at the same time, and then they're all under team control for 3 years, and you maximize those 3 years.
Yeah. And Rob, to answer this, there's going to be grandfathered in
The
contracts.
thing with the Dodgers, though, and the Mets and the Phillies and all these teams that are over that predicted $275 million cap, yes, they're going to be grandfathered in those contracts. But even if they're grandfathered in those contracts, they're not going to be able to sign any additional free agents. They will be able to keep
Exactly.
the contracts that are on their team, but
Correct.
any other additions they have to make are going to have to come through the minor leagues and minor league deals, because they're not going to be like, well, here's, the $295 million.
I don't think that's how that's going to work. I think that they get grandfathered in, but also have to figure out they're going to be given like a 3-year window to be able, or 2-year window to get within reason.
Yeah.
You can't come down. I mean, they've got like $450 million payroll in 2030.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think they might work it out in a way that they look at what the percentage of their total payout is right now, and then they kind of modify that to occupy that much of the cap.
Mm-hmm.
So you get to keep what your contract is, but say Ohtani is, 18% of your payroll, then they wipe out 18% and say, okay, you get to keep this contract because it is what it is, but he's going to occupy that much of your cap space. It's probably about the only way to really make that work grandfathered in. Because otherwise, if you grandfathered it and you're like, well, but that's how it hits the cap. It's like, cool. Well, he's going out there by himself because,
I mean, the other thing that these players are going to have to consider now too is with any team like NBA, NHL, NFL, the salary cap goes up every year. So just because like the new CBA is going to be discussing a $275 million cap, it may only stay at that 275 for the first couple of years, but eventually that cap's going to start going up again, like the NBA, like the NFL, and it's based on obviously revenue that these teams are bringing in. So if you have a terrible team like the Pirates or the A's or the Marlins, and they're starting to bring in some revenue by being competitive, that cap's going to go up a little bit every year.
I don't know about that. Because, like I said, the NFL has been going up and up and up, but it went down for 2 years.
No, it did go down, yeah. But now that's why you're seeing the contracts you're seeing now in the NFL, though, because the cap is going up. Like Major League Baseball, as long as these teams that have been bad for so long, I'm not saying like they're going to be World Series champions, but like as long as the Pirates, the Marlins, and some of these bottom feeder teams add one or two superstars to at least maybe put a competitive product on the field. So instead of being a 66 and 96 team, you're now like a 75 and 87, like or a closer to a 500 team, and you're putting out a competitive product. You're going to start getting in more revenue. You're going to at least allow that cap to possibly go up. And then these players are going to start getting some bigger contracts again. Obviously not at the level we're seeing now, but bigger than what they'd be able to see right when that cap first comes back in.
No, and Rob, that's where, we don't know exactly what the salary cap is going to look like. Is it going to look like the NFL's or is it going to look like the NBA's? So those questions there, we don't actually have answers to yet.
And without Tony Clark being in the building, there's no negotiating for the players. You need to even be like, I want the luxury tax. I don't want the luxury tax. It's pretty much like you don't have a representative representing you. We have one representing the owners. So guess what? This is what we're going to do.
Let's not pretend that there isn't somebody else that's going to step into that role. It's not like they're just going to go into negotiations.
Somebody will, but I just don't know if they're going to want the headache of negotiating, knowing that Tony Clark has kind of been in this role now for over 10 years, and he's kind of already gone through the initial stages of the negotiations back in 2021. So he kind of had an idea.
He's not unilaterally doing this. Like he has people around him. So there's going to be somebody else to step into that role that's familiar with the situation. It's not like they're like, hey, I know you've watched baseball on TV. Come negotiate for us. It's going to be someone that was in the room. Yeah. Like, let's not pretend.
My question is, can you not manipulate? Can you not manipulate the cap though with signing bonuses? I know we talked about signing bonuses not being counted towards the cap.
But
could they not create that though?
They could.
So the thing is there's only so much you can do with that. When you're talking about football, yes, you can manipulate the cap a little bit to move money around, but the cap is the cap. When it comes to baseball, you can just write whatever check you want. And when it comes to basketball, you can still kind of do whatever. They do have a cap as far as your super max contracts and stuff like that. But if you're willing to pay the luxury tax, you can still kind of do whatever you want. In football, you can manipulate stuff to push money down the road and stuff like that, but then you destroy your team moving forward. So you watch that happen with the Saints. They went all in.
Actually, the Cowboys are the perfect example of that. That they brought back Zeke and they had to give him another contract, and they paid him more on his previous contract than they were on his regular contract.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like there's definitely lots of examples. And the thing was with the salary cap, when the NFL incorporated that, it took 5 years for it to start to level and it to start to actually be utilized the way that everybody thought it was. And then you started to have capologists.
Yep.
You know what I mean? That's what it's going to take. Like you're going to have to start to figure out like capology. And that's going to take some time because it's not going to be a mirror image of what's happening in the NFL. It's going to be something completely different.
Yeah. Well, and that's why I say, like, is it going to be closer to what the NFL does, or is it going to be closer to basketball? Because that obviously greatly changes what you can do as a team, right? Because if you don't care about overpaying and paying luxury tax and all that, then you're hoping if there is a cap that it's more like basketball, where it's a fungible number. Whereas when it comes to, football, you can try and push your chips all in to go win a ring like the Rams, and it's cool if it works, and then you could be setting yourself back. Now, they drafted well to help stuff out, but then you do the exact same thing with the Saints. It didn't work. You set your franchise back a decade, and you still didn't get a ring out of it.
Right.
Right. And that's where you start to have that. I mean, that's why the Dodgers did exactly what the Dodgers did right now. They're like, hey, we're pushing all in before all this comes because we see this. Truth of the matter is that the moment that they have this, that they do this, that they are going to wind up in about 6 years having to declare bankruptcy. They're going to have to, because they're not going to be able to subsidize themselves, because they're not going to be able to get rid of some of these contracts that they're overpaying for right now. So you win the rings now, and you get everything the way you want them to, and then in 4 years you wind up having nobody come to the ballpark. You're overpaying everybody. You have all these deferred payments starting to come in, and you declare bankruptcy. And then MLB is going to have to come in and bail them out because they're the Dodgers. You can't have the Dodgers not be in baseball.
Right.
And I mean,
I think that's where the signing bonus. I think that's where the signing bonus comes into play. Like you're deferring the money, which is essentially, in a way, a signing bonus, because you're paying these players out over time a portion of their contract.
Well, no, because signing bonuses are generally designed to move money around to bring it into a current year, right? So say you had some back end that you're trying to alleviate, you move some of that around to this year's signing bonus because you had some room on your cap to manipulate. So the signing bonus you can kind of move around through years. That's how you can get around some of that. But and maybe baseball does some of that. I mean, I wish there was something we could see on the proposed ones. They've been very tight-lipped about it, which is too bad, because it would be interesting to see what kind of nonsense is in there.
But I mean, I think it's ultimately it's going to be an absolute mess, and it's just going to fall apart. Everything is going to fall apart for baseball, and it's going to make things really good for the minor league teams.
Well, the other thing too is kind of what you brought up a couple weeks ago. Theo Epstein and a lot of these higher ups that kind of work with the commissioner, not the commissioner himself, but a lot of the people that work kind of hand in hand with the commissioner in his office, have started conversations with a lot of these independent teams. And there are 4 independent leagues that are basically called MLB partner leagues right now, where they partner with the MLB to do like rule changes. They partner with the MLB to try new things out before they incorporate it into the minor leagues. And there are a lot of conversations going on right now, basically saying, if we go into a lockout, we would like some of our players to have an opportunity to come play for you, and we will pay a portion of that salary what we can pay. Obviously, you're not going to be able to pay $60 million contracts if you're not bringing in any money. But like for independent baseball, these players are making probably $60,000, maybe $70,000 a year. They might get $500,000 now to go do this, but now you're creating opportunities for these players to keep playing. These independent league teams who are getting 4,000 to 5,000 people a game, they start getting a lot more revenue coming in, because players in these or fans in these smaller towns are going to see potential actually major league talent coming through for a year just to keep playing baseball.
I'm about to say that might be a good way to showcase their talents to maybe get into the major leagues.
Like, yeah, if you have a guy that's been pitching in independent baseball for the last 5 or 6 years because he went undrafted, and all of a sudden next year he's facing a guy like Aaron Judge or Shohei, and all of a sudden he strikes him out, all of a sudden it's like, okay, he just struck out Shohei. Maybe this guy can actually pitch in the major leagues a little bit.
And listen, you got the, it sounds to me like you just create the USBA.
And it wouldn't surprise me if they do, because right now the 4 MLB partner leagues combined, I think, have 44 or 46 teams combined.
Yeah,
between the four of those major leagues. Obviously, I don't think if they did something like that, I don't see them with 46 teams. But you could bring that league down to 24 teams even, You just put the best 24 teams out there and just call it whatever you want to call it, and just make it basically a temporary fill-in league till Major League Baseball figures out their crap.
Well, or you could kind of do it very similar to like, hey, it's just like we're gonna have the A League, the B League, the C League, and just do it like soccer does.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
You know, and then have like a Champions League.
Yeah, so that would make the Pirates and the A's relegated to whatever the worst league is.
Right, but if they win, if they happen to win that league, they get thrown into the Champions League, which is a smaller section of like it would stop baseball from having 162 games and waiting to the very end to see who's going to make the playoffs and stuff like that. Like there would be ways of doing this. You could do this, and then you could relegate up or down depending on where you're at, so that you could have, you know, I guess if you did it right, you could have like the Dodgers be in the C division if they stunk for the first couple of years, and then crush it in the C division. But that doesn't really happen because you'd have to like it also have a financial thing attached to it.
Mm-hmm.
So
and then you take all the leverage away from the MLB players. Yeah.
You can certainly bet against them actually crushing it ever. Right here, using the QR code on the screen, bet us up to 125% of your first 3 deposits, 10% bet guarantee. In case they somehow do, go ahead and bet alongside us right here. Yeah, there's no chance they're killing it ever. So there's that. Let's see. We got.
I got to mention this really quickly. Did you see how many people were at the All-Star weekend? Have you seen some of the videos that have come out where they put like lights in all of the seats to make it look like people were there? But there was like for the juniors game or whatever the hell they call it, the Rising Stars game, they had like 2,000 people there.
Mm-hmm.
And they made it look like there was so many other people there with that. Like, and because it was at the same time as the Olympics, they had it at weird times. So people didn't even know what was going on. It was like, it was all very odd that they raised the prices of this All-Star weekend because they thought everybody wants to show up to see all of this stuff. And it was just,
well, so oddly enough, they, as we've talked about in just about every version of an All-Star game, effort is an issue. And so they asked KD about it.
Legitimately, the only
Europeans and the world team, they won't compete. Because when you look at Luka Doncic and Nikola Jokic now, let's go back and look at what they do at the All-Star game. Is that competition? So we haven't questioned what they've been doing, but we're going to question the old heads and the Americans. But these two dudes out there, Luka and Jokic, they don't care about the game at all. These dudes be laying on the floor, they shoot from half court, but you got to worry about the old heads playing hard. I can read between the lines, bro.
Like, the funny thing is, like, everyone used to joke about Major League Baseball screwing up the All-Star game where the winning, like the AL winning or the NL winning would determine who gets home field in the World Series, which was stupid, but whatever. But now when you look at all the All-Star games now, baseball is the only one that has it right. Because people actually take the Major League Baseball game, All-Star game serious, yet it actually play like it's a meaningful game versus everything else. It's not even a meaningful game anymore. Pro Bowl's gone.
I like what hockey switched into.
Yeah, hockey switched into it now, but before, like, they made that switch, like the NHL All-Star game was dying. The Pro Bowl is dead. And the NBA just has no idea what the hell they want to do. So they're just pulling straws out of a hat and trying new things right now. And then you have Major League Baseball, since they've gone away from the winner gets home field advantage and gone back to the old format. It's the only All-Star game that actually works. And it's the only All-Star game that people actually watch.
Well, it's because you can't not play defense in baseball.
Yeah. But it's still the only one that people like watch and actually care about, though, too. Like, people will show up to that game. People will watch the game on TV.
Only if there's a season.
Because the home run derby actually works.
Yeah, it does.
Yes.
It's awesome.
Let me ask you this:
You know-
because NBA attendance, like you said, is so low at the All-Star games and things like that, how does that affect Adam Silver's job? Like, what is the ramifications on him to get this figured out or get attendance back up at these things?
Adam Silver has been screwing this up since he got in.
Right.
You know, and I mean, we did see something about how he's now trying to get rid of the draft in total and just having everybody who want to come out, go ahead and come out, and you become a free agent.
Yeah, I mean,
So ridiculous.
What was the point of putting in
That
the
is
one?
ridiculous.
What was the point of putting in the one and done thing, anyways? Because now, if he's on the verge of just getting rid of that too, it's just like I think he's gotten to the point where it's like some of these college kids are too good to go to school. Like, obviously, none of them have been at the level LeBron James was when he came out, but like there are like Cooper Flagg. Cooper Flagg was good enough to be the number 1 pick had he not gone to college. Like some of these kids, like they're like go to the draft, they're going to be a top 5 pick. So why waste putting them in college? Why risk getting them hurt their freshman year in college to potentially kill their draft stock when you can just hit them in the draft right away and they go as is? It creates more parity, I think, back in college basketball because I honestly miss the way college basketball used to be where teams that were winning the national championship had a bunch of juniors and seniors on their roster. And not a bunch of freshmen where the next year all 4 of those freshmen are gone and you got to bring in a new class. Like even Duke, for example, when they had Mike Krzyzewski back in the day, he was winning championships with 4-year players. And then he made the adjustment to go to like the one and done guys to win his last national championship. But the first 4 titles he won were all with junior and senior classes that he just developed.
Yeah, well, the problem is it kind of got away from doing that. You're starting to see that start to come back now with NIL deals, though.
Yeah. And
guys are
transfer
like,
portal.
hey, let me, I'm going to be a later round guy. Let me make a few $1 million here in college.
And transfer portal helps that too, where it's like, hey, do I want to be a freshman on this all freshman all-star team and maybe not play? Or do I want to sit for my freshman year here and maybe win a ring here and then transfer to another program, make money, and start and win possibly another ring?
Yeah. That's what, because I know Kevin Sampson, the coach for the Cougars, he came out and said, hey, we're paying these guys what we think they're worth. But the problem is the school is broke. Like the University of Houston is poor in the sense of NIL.
Well, I mean,
I thought that was interesting.
Some of that is going to be a problem, so that's where you have to develop guys.
And let me tell you, the University of Houston could have a lot of money if they had somebody out there who was actually going after some of the oil money, because the University of Houston is one of the only places that has the ability to go have classes to learn that device to go look for oil. So tell me that those guys ain't making a lot of money, because I know oil runs the world. And so they got lots of people that have lots of money. They just don't know how to get it.
Yeah.
And you're not wrong. You're not wrong. I agree with it.
Like Cooper Flagg was the prime example last year. He was expected to get $10 million in NIL money, which Duke said they could not afford to give him $10 million. So what ended up happening? Duke paid Cooper Flagg $4 million, and New Balance paid him $6 million. So he still got his $10 million in NIL money, but 60% of it came from a secondary source as opposed to the university. So these universities a lot of these universities are correct when they say they don't have the money to give these players, but these players can still get the sponsors or whatever to cover the difference.
Well, that's the thing is NIL has nothing to do with endorsement deals. Now the school can go out and be like, hey, we can help you get these endorsement deals because we don't have the NIL. So, I mean, that is ways around the NIL. And that's the problem with some of the NIL is there's no safeguards on it, and the NCAA doesn't do anything to be proactive. They're reactive in everything they do.
Right.
So now the schools are going to become the free agents for them getting them deals, or like you said, with sponsors.
There's a reason schools have GMs and stuff now.
Yeah, that's literally what the portal is now. The portal is essentially a NCAA free agent pod for someone to try to get the most NIL money.
Absolutely. We did have, before we get out of here, we did have the passing of an icon, Robert Duvall, with the most iconic soundbite that's uttered at every single racetrack everywhere.
Okay, I'm going to pull this rookie's chain. Oh, you're wandering all over the track. Yeah, well, the son of a bitch just slammed into me. Oh, No, he didn't slam you. He didn't bump you. He didn't nudge you. He rubbed you. And rubbing, son, is racing.
Every racetrack I've ever
Robinson
stepped onto.
racing.
Tell that to the people at Daytona 500 on Sunday, where the rubbing on that last lap got a little crazy down that front
And
stretch.
there was 3 different wrecks on that final lap.
Holy moly!
Robert Duvall got to see one last crazy Daytona 500 before passing away. That being said, that does get us to the top of the hour. Thanks for tuning in. Be sure to like and subscribe. Helps us bring our content to you. Otherwise, we'll see y'all tomorrow. Enjoy the rest of your Tuesday. Take it easy, everybody.
Peace.